I finished the Frida Klein series. Hi everyone, it is April from Getting Hogo With It. Today we're going to do my wrap up for September. Well, the first half of September. I have read a good little stack of books here and I want to share everything I thought about them. But before we dive in, I must say, if I look exhausted, it's because I am exhausted. And if I don't look exhausted, thank you, makeup. You've done your job. Because Nora had her shots yesterday when I'm filming this. She had her shots yesterday and she struggled. She's had like a low-grade fever, just very tired, very sad. It's been a hard one. So Mama's been up since 3:30 with worry because I'm me. All that to say, I might look exhausted. Let's dive into the books that I read in September thus far. We are starting with the tippy top, the ones that I've loved the most, and working our way down. It will be no surprise to anyone that the Frida Klein series is at the tippy top. So I finished the last two books of the Frida Klein series by Nikki French, which is amazing. The book that I gave 5 stars is Sunday Silence. The Frida Klein series is essentially about a psychotherapist named Frida Klein. It's a bit of a crime series, and Frida always seems to get involved with murders or kidnappings or whatnot. There is an underlying mystery throughout the entire series of a man who is not so nice, not such a great man, and he intervenes in her life throughout the whole series. And I don't want to give anything away, but he's a main huge character. Things come to a head in Sunday Silence and also Day of the Dead. I loved Sunday Silence. You follow all of the people in Frida's inner circle, except one. I will say one of the characters kind of fell off the grid at the end here. And I don't know what happened because I liked that character. And Frida was close to this character, and so it was very confusing. I won't say who that is, but I really enjoyed Sunday Silence because of all of those characters, and they are one by one sought out in this book. And they, one by one, are in danger in this book. I loved that so much. So I gave 5 stars to Sunday Silence. I ended up giving 4 stars to Day of the Dead because, yes, we follow Frida, I should say. We follow Frida throughout the whole thing, but all of her ensemble kind of take a major back seat in this book, and I missed them a lot. So it didn't work for me the same way. I still enjoyed it. It really did tie everything together. There's a theme that runs throughout the book of Frida is a walker, and she walks in the middle of the night. She'll walk anytime that she needs time to think or not think and just kind of meditate, basically. And she has a really big fascination with London's rivers that are basically underground. And the river theme is a huge thing in this book, and I really enjoyed that. I was very happy with that. But yeah, I missed so many of those characters. It didn't work for me quite the same way that Sunday Silence did, but it was still really, really good. I'm very sad that it's over, as you can imagine, because I've loved it so much. But I am excited about starting new crime series, and yeah, I have a few like smaller crime series, and I'm thinking about what my big crime series is going to be for 2021. I think I've decided, but I'm not going to reveal that until later because I might change my mind. this happens. Another book that I gave 4 stars but didn't finish, confusing, is Welcome Home by McKellen Smith. Now, I think this hasn't come out yet for you guys. I think it may have just come out. This goes season by season and talks about how to make your home cozy and inviting by all of the different seasons, but in a more minimalist way. It says a cozy minimalist guide to decorating and hosting all year round. Now, the reason that I've only read a bit of this is because I don't want to ruin the other seasons for myself. So I've only read fall, but I loved it so much. It talks about the different senses that you should have and the smells of fall, the textures of fall, the feel of fall, the taste of fall. It was just so lovely, and it's really about, you know, paring back, I guess, a little bit in your home instead of like buying 10 million plastic pumpkins or like fake pumpkins. Like, get a couple of real pumpkins. Now, I do have some fake pumpkins and I like them, but I can understand the sentiment of this book, and I really have been enjoying it so much. I did want to actually review it now because I know that I'll have the same experience for the other seasons, just because I've only read fall. If what she does with fall and the way she talks about fall is the way she talks about the other seasons, which I imagine that's the whole point of the book, I'm gonna just love the rest of it, and I don't want to ruin it for myself. So I so highly recommend this. This is an amazing, first of all, amazing coffee table book. Also a really great gift. Christmas is coming. If you need a really good book to give someone at Christmas, I mean, I can think of several people in my life that I would love to give this to at Christmas or any time of year. If you know someone who's like moved into a new home, that's another idea for me. In any case, love this book. I've given it 4 stars. I'm really excited to read winter, but I don't want to hurry through fall because I'm really in pumpkin mode right now. Yes, I'm a pumpkin spice person as well. I just can't help myself. Okay, so now we're moving into the 3-star books that I've read. The first of those is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. I listened to this on audio, and I don't think this is my least favorite Jane Austen. I really didn't like Northanger Abbey many moons ago when I read that. I didn't really like Emma all that much because I found her a bit ridiculous. And something kind of similar happened to me here. I found a lot of the characters very ridiculous. Now, I know that that is what Jane does a lot of the time. Mr. Collins in Pride and Prejudice is ridiculous, but I like the main characters to have more, to be a bit more subdued. And I mean, Fanny was subdued. This, I forgot to mention, is about Fanny Price, who goes to live with her cousins when she's quite young. She does not come from wealth, but they're quite wealthy, and so she grows up with them, and she's very used to a certain way of living. And then these people from London come, and they bring their glitz and glamour, and she's not impressed by it, but many of her cousins are very impressed by it. And she's trying to, like, quell their overzealousness because she worries that these people from London might be a little bit immoral, you know, dangerous for this time. And I appreciated Fanny. I wanted her to have a bit more backbone than she did. She's no Elizabeth Bennet. I found the romance in here kind of annoying, if I'm being honest. Just didn't work for me quite the way that the others have. It was fine. I don't know if I loved it though. It was just fine. and that's that. Okay, a 3-star book that I still don't know how it ended up being 3 stars. Lisa Jewell's The Family Upstairs. Everything about this book, I mean, I should have loved this book. This is about a cult. This is about being kind of a prisoner in your own home. I will tell you what this is about. The synopsis is essentially, we follow a woman named Libby. She's turned 25 and she finds out that she has inherited an enormous home. And she's inherited this enormous home because her parents, her birth parents, died in this home. They were found in the kitchen when she was a baby, and it was like this suicide, like this joint suicide thing that they'd done. And she was upstairs, a little 10-month-old baby in her crib, perfectly happy, no problem, when the police find her. And she goes back to the home, of course, because she's inherited it, and she's like exploring and learning about the past, essentially. The writing was pretty good. Like I felt like it was incredibly atmospheric. I felt like I could walk through the rooms of this home. So I still am not quite sure what happened for me, but like I did find it not forgettable, but I felt a lot of the time that I could put this down and not be driven to pick it back up. And this is a thriller, and that's not supposed to happen with thrillers. I don't know about you, but I don't really have that happen to me with thrillers. And I just wasn't sucked into the mystery. I felt like it was a little too long, and I wasn't invested. That might have been it. There were also 3 points of view, and I think it might have been one too many narrators for me. I could have used just 2, if I'm being honest. So it was okay. Will I rush to read another Lisa Jewell? Maybe. I do have The Girls in the Garden, I think, on my shelves. I'm not in a hurry to read it. I have a lot of other authors, thriller authors that I haven't read yet that I want to read. But it was just okay. I'm going to pass it along. My mom might actually like this. So there's that. And now we get to the worst book that I read this month and the worst book that I've read this year. It's One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. Now, this was gifted to me by Penguin Random House Canada, and I love them so much. They have been so kind to me. I requested this. This is my fault. I shouldn't have read this. And I've loved so many books that they've sent me. Hamnet and Judith. Oh my gosh, amazing. The Giver of Stars. Absolutely wonderful. There's been so many good ones. They're a great publishing house. But I can't lie to you and say that I loved this book when I actually found it offensive. So this book is about a plus-size woman. She is a fashion blogger, and she essentially confronts a reality TV show that's essentially like The Bachelorette. It's exactly The Bachelorette, okay? She confronts them because she says there's not enough representation of plus-size women, and she takes offense to that. Rightly so. I think it's a really good point. And the show reaches out to her and they're like, you know what? You're going to be the next Bachelorette, essentially. And she says yes. Up until this point, everything was fine in my mind. But as soon as the show starts, everything fell apart. In several ways. The main way, the way that makes me angry, is the representation of plus-size women. I am a plus-size woman. This girl, B, is a plus size woman who is a fashion blogger, one of the big fashion bloggers. So because of that, you know that she should be comfortable with her body. She should be, body positive. She should be anti-fat shaming. And yet what I found as we went through and started to meet the men who had various, they had various reactions to her. Some of them weren't into it and some of them really were. But she, over and over again, found a way to sit these men down and be like, you don't know how many people find me disgusting. I thought you might find me disgusting. She repeatedly talks about how all of these men in her life have found her disgusting and have been repulsed by her body. And when she's going into the show, she makes it a point to sit down with the producer and say, you need to represent me well, because you're not just representing me, you're representing all plus size women. She knows that she's going into this show with a point in mind, which is to have body positivity, representation of plus size women, and she screws it up herself. The show doesn't screw it up, she screws it up repeatedly. And what I don't like about this book is the fat shaming that she does herself, but I find it frustrating that, does the author not think that plus size women who want to represent, plus size women positively are smart enough to go onto a show that no one thinks that people actually really, really, really fall in love on the show? Of course she would go into it with an intention in mind, a marketing intention really in mind about how she wants to represent plus size women. She just screwed it up so badly. The author of this book screwed it up, and B screwed it up so badly. I also found it amazing that she repeatedly was so much more interested in what they thought of her than what she thought of them. You don't really get to know these men in this book, and they're very cookie cutter. There's one of them that's a football star, I think, who is a virgin. That's Colton. There was one of them who was a single dad, I think. That's Jason. Is it Jason, who was a former bachelor? She basically took all of the bachelors from the show The Bachelor and made them the contestants. It wasn't ingenious in any way, shape, or form. Also, because everyone knows this is based on The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, she took away the most exciting parts of that show, which is the rose ceremony, the infighting. There was no infighting between the guys, none. And she just kept the stuff that nobody likes, which are the dates, where they go and dance in front of at a concert, or go on a picnic, or nobody cares about that. Just get to the drama. I hated this book. I gave it 1 star. I mostly hated it because of the representation of plus size women. I will never read anything by this author again. Also, there's so many people who have read this book who are plus size women and have said that they've liked it. I don't understand. I do understand not always feeling confident in everything, but it was so bad for women, for plus size women. I was offended. And now I'm done because I'm gonna get really mad. Okay, so really, really quick, I'm gonna talk to you about the books that I am reading right now. I'm listening to Stamped from the Beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America by Ibram X. Kendi. It is dense, so well researched. infuriating at times. There have been times where I've been listening to this and I've actually said out loud, like, what the F? Nora's in the back. Luckily, she can't understand what I'm saying yet, but this book is so angering, the way that white people have treated black people and the way they have spewed this racist jargon that has lasted generations. Some of the stuff is so ridiculous. They used to think that black people, if you just moved their location, they could turn white. What? So many stupid things. It's very infuriating, but it's very interesting as well because he uses different figures in history like Garrison and Lincoln and explains how they actually were also quite racist. Sometimes they may have had some good intentions, they may have done some good things, but they also had racist ideas that they were forwarding and moving forward in history. Really, really good. Highly recommend. And a book that I haven't read yet, but is my next book, and I'm starting it today, is Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is me. This is the September book club pick for my Patreon book club. I'm so excited to read it. I'm so excited. I just know I'm going to love it. Like, this will most likely be 5 stars. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. So that's what I'm reading right now. Let me know in the comments below what you're reading at this moment. I would love to know. I hope you're doing really well, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye, everyone.